He gambled his football future in search of a crack at the big time, crossing to Richmond from VFA club Paran without a clearance after the 1966 season. He was 19 years of age with a 5-year ban hanging over his head in any competition outside the VFL. The young man, though, was to go on to play and coach at VFL AFL level from 1967 to 2007 before returning in 2011 as the inaugural coach of Greater Western Sydney. He's an iconic figure on the football landscape. Welcome to Open Mic, Kevin Sheedy.
Mike, pleasure to be here. Yeah, it's been a good show. I've watched it over the last few months.
Take us back to that time you took that massive risk. You're an 18-year-old turning 19 in the summer of 66, 67.
Yeah.
You decided to go to Richmond and the VFA had said if you cross and leave Paran without a clearance, you're banned for 5 years. What convinced you to make that gamble?
Well, the Paran Footy Club was fantastic people. I mean, they were great. They actually cleared me. My mother said, take the risk. And my brother was a better player than me at the time, and he was at Glen Huntly, and they were probably the two people you would talk a little bit about making decisions that are just important if you're going down that track. And Mum just said, back yourself in. You
and I first crossed paths in 1966 at Churnside Park at Werribee.
Yeah.
Paran and Werribee in a VFA game. Now, my memory at the time was, because you were quite a decorated figure then, was that you were slow, not a penetrating kick, and not a huge amount of tricks. Is that a fair assessment?
Probably had some tricks, but not fast.
Yeah.
But a reasonable thinker.
Yeah.
And, you know, we played in the premiership that year at Paran.
Amazing thing about that Paran premiership team of 1966, the ruckman in that team was Graham McMahon, wasn't it?
Yeah, Graham McMahon.
Who was later to become your president at Essendon.
Yeah, like it was a terrific sort of... well, he was a terrific person for a start off. The ruck, he was great for us. We had a great captain, Barry Pearson, and Graham, I think, was vice-captain. But Graham, when I went to Essendon, for him to end up president after leaving Ansett, and that was... it was a bonus for me because in the end I might not have even been around Essendon if he hadn't have got there back in around about maybe 97, I think it was.
We'll come back to that. 1,000 games, Kevin, as a player, coach, state of origin level, international rules, pre-season competition. Amazing. It is, I mean, it's unprecedented in football and perhaps in world sport. You must be really proud of that.
Oh, look, I am. I mean, they accumulate. You're on sort of... My brother, Patrick, he always thinks I'm on the locomotive in my life, you know, and haven't seen a lot of my family, but they appreciate the work you put in and the career you had, and, yeah, so it's been a tough time like that, but I love the game and I'll never change.
That plumbing apprenticeship was a waste of time, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't, actually. I'll tell you
what
now.
What did you learn from that?
Well, I mean, I learned to actually understand how this country ticks. I mean, I was very lucky to do that plumbing. I mean, 5 years as an apprentice and then moving into the Army, into National Service after we won the 69 premiership. I won it on the Saturday and you're in the Army on the Monday. And that sort of upbringing was a really earthy one for me, and not that I necessarily needed it because you had Hayfew and Graham Richmond and Alan Swabble knocking on your brain, and but it was good, really good. The Tigers were a fantastic club, and the Army was magnificent. I thought the Defence Forces really made me look at the serious discipline about people going to Vietnam and coming back, and that's probably how Anzac Day ended up with the Bombers and the Magpies, to be honest. 67, Kevin, was your first year at Richmond. Yeah.
You played half a dozen games. You couldn't get into the centre because Billy Barrett was there.
Yep.
Then you went back to the seconds and had a major knee injury.
Yep.
What were your thoughts then, given the background to you crossing over from Paran?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that probably they may have... at the end of that year, I nearly ended up going to Central Districts. Dennis Jones, who ended up coaching me at Paran, was the coach of Central Districts in Adelaide. I thought my career might have been over then, but Tommy was terrific. You know, he was. I mean, the person who did my operation was a guy called Bill Doig, I think it was, and he was a terrific...
How serious was the knee injury?
Oh, well, I was out for the year. Yeah.
Was it
cartilage out?
Cartilage,
yeah.
okay.
And they open you up and all that sort.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a knee reconstruction also, and a couple of broken legs and so forth. But look, in the end, you pursue whatever you really want to do, and you know, I thought that I was at Richmond at a very, very good time with guys like Burke and Hart and Dick Clay. Dick Clay was a terrific, Barry Richardson, that, so, and of course KB. So and then along come Neil Baum and a few, you know.
What was the highlight of your playing career?
Probably in a grand final, maybe the first 3 goals in 73.
73?
Yeah, I kicked there. And I didn't kick a lot of goals in my life, but I kicked a few in grand finals.
Tommy Hafey remains a strong friend of yours. Must have been a major influence in your life when you were young. Like
my
late
father,
60s, early 70s?
Yeah, my father's name was Tom. And, like, when Dad died, he met another guy called Tom. It's quite strange, that. And I thought to myself, well, this guy was totally different. My dad didn't really know a lot about football. And Tom was fanatic, absolutely fanatic. He was about in his mid-30s and probably twice I was probably 18, nearly 35, 36, and a super freak athlete for a guy that... no player at Richmond could catch him in the tan.
Why did he take to you, do you think? I mean, I know that you had this application and this want to be a successful footballer, but was there a personal bond between you two?
No, not really. He probably, a lot of the boys felt he favoured a bit in the non-drinkers.
I'd heard that, yeah.
And the boys that had a beer might have felt that, but... I just do everything that was asked and, if you had whatever you're asked, you do.
Did he ever ask you to do anything... what we would call untoward on the football field?
No, that was more Graham.
Was it?
Yeah, Graham Richmond was ruthless.
Because you were pretty tough on the field, weren't you?
Look,
you had the view from the outside that there were no holds barred out there.
No.
Yeah.
No. You're there to win. And we did stretch the rules and we broke the rules. And when you look back, some of my kids have watched the games, Sam and Renee and Chelsea and Jessica, and I see an old replay and they see you do something and they just nod their head and they can't believe you would have done that.
And there's something being... What? Because you weren't actually...
I wouldn't... a person.
Pardon?
Would have ran through a person, taken her out late.
Yeah.
And probably, times you'd be, hammering away.
More detail, please, Mr. Sheedy. Hammering away, does that mean standing on hands?
That, yeah.
Spitting?
Some people reckon I did, but I may have. Yeah, okay, probably more.
Backhanders, all that sort of...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And look, after you get hit in the head yourself and spat on yourself, you give it back. That's what we did. And that's what we did in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, people in the end, and I know it sounds awful, but you give as good as you got, and that's why Graham expected you to. I think in the end, if you said to yourself, look, if they hit Bartlett or Hart, yeah, you're the boy, son. So Graham would always point you out, or Barmy, or Ricky McLean, and
I'm scared hearing those names.
No, but he was just piercing blue eyes. That I never even knew who the guy was until I met him. Obviously,
we're talking about Graham Richmond.
Graham Richmond. Yeah, he's a different guy. He was challenging. He'd drain the energy out of you to make sure that you didn't fail.
Do you remember any specific assignments that Graham gave you under the context of looking after your teammates and flying the flag?
Oh, look, I think that in general, if any of those blokes went, you actually would make sure you tackle blokes really hard. You would pound them out of the ground. And if you're going for a mark, you're taking them out as well as taking the mark. You've got to have your eyes on the ball, otherwise... I never got outed.
No, you were never reported?
I got reported once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but it wasn't...
Never suspended?
No.
Surprising, isn't it?
Well, that was for you, but I never got outed.
Yeah, I am surprised at that. The thing, I remember talking to you many years ago about your ritual in grand final week. You played in 3 premierships for the Tigers.
Week. Every finals.
Every final. Did you know? Now, this is my memory. You would take yourself off to the MCG on the day before the game, sit in the Great Southern Stand as it was then, and play the game in your head. True?
Yep.
I played over the duration. Was it a 10-minute exercise, or would you stay for a couple of hours?
No, I wouldn't stay any longer than an hour. No.
Because your finals record is outstanding.
Yeah, well, that's what the deal's about.
I understand that, but it's easier said than done. This visualisation was you being good, was it? You doing things for the team.
It's all about team. And if you can do that, then you become a very powerful, sort of mentally strong person in your mindset. And it's probably nearly been like that because in the end you're going through this 1,000th game coming up, and even to leave Richmond and go to Essendon and stay there 27 years, that is in itself a mindset, and to come back into football and coach a brand new club and get them into the trenches and then build them out of the trenches with a group of people up in West Sydney with the Giants, that's a mindset in itself. And so you don't let anyone interfere with that mind.
Of your destination.
Yeah.
Now, Carlton was Richmond's probably strongest opponent in that period. Robert Walls played forward for the Blues. You played back for Richmond.
Where are you going with
well,
that?
I'm just... you and Walls, you've had a couple of celebrated exchanges
over the years
on TV and on radio, where I've been a close observer. What's your relationship with Wallsy like?
It's getting better.
Is it? Yeah. You did call him a sniper, didn't you?
No, I said not all snipers are in Vietnam.
Correct. And that was looking him in the eye with those blue eyes of yours.
Yeah,
he did take offence at that.
Yeah.
Did you and he, was there baggage?
Oh, well, no, we sniped at each other, so don't even worry about that. But I never actually said it was Robert.
Yeah, well...
No,
you didn't need powers of deduction to work out who you're referring to.
That's okay.
But I want to take you back. Was there on-field baggage between you and Wolsey?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I used to play him.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, 6'4" or 5.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not exactly 6 foot yet, so I don't think I'll get there. But my job was to make sure that I could beat him any way I could, and you know, that was the deal. And it's very hard when you're sort of 5 or 10 and a half and you're playing on. I mean, he's a fantastic player.
He was a good player.
Damn good player, and he was cunning.
Dirty?
Oh yeah, we're both dirty. Yeah.
After Richmond, the Bombers came a-courting. Took a big risk, didn't they? For a conservative club like Essendon to come to you, you'd only been out of the game 18 months as a player?
Yeah.
You didn't seem like at the time an Essendon type, yet the Colin Stubbs administration was prepared to entrust the club's future to you.
Well, I mean, the people at Essendon were desperate to want to get somewhere. I mean, they'd had
Alan Jeans was in that field.
Oh, yeah, John Nichols. I think there's quite.
John Nichols,
I think there's about 8 very serious, good, very good coaches. And, but Essendon do pick young coaches, and they went through a period where they didn't, and then they tried Barry Davis, and then myself, and then and then Matthew Knight's now James Hurd. So they pick first-year coaches. They go that way. They found that was better than a possible coach that might have been tried.
Famous photo of you, Kevin, at training at Essendon. I think the Bombers are 1-5 from memory in your first year as coach. You've got the footy boots on, and the word was that because of the team's plight at that time, you were going to come out of retirement and play. Was that ever serious?
No, Brian Donohoe wouldn't allow that.
Did you contemplate that?
I would have thought and put it to him. We discussed it, and he said, don't do it because you're here to coach. 81. Do you remember the last game of the season at Waverley Park? A young bloke called Neil Danaher. After the game, it was reported that he had a bruised knee. It ended his career, didn't it? It did. He had, what would you call ACL? That is, cruciate.
Now, you made Neil captain for the following year, and he wasn't able to complete those duties because of his knee. How good would he have been? I know, before you answer that, Lee Matthews named Neil Danaher on a half-back flank in his best team, and Danaher had played 60-odd games. How good was he?
He's in my best team.
Yeah.
He was as good as Terry. You remember Terry had been sacked by South Melbourne at the same age, and Neil Danaher had one of the best and fairest at the same age that Terry got released by the Swans. So I think that Neil was as good a player as Terry, and very, very unlucky. And for him to actually come back after about maybe 3 knee reconstructions and play, probably 10 years later, I think it was about 1990, about say 9 years, that's a great effort by any sports person to come back after 3 knee reconstructions and play, and then went on to a terrific coaching career at Melbourne. And I don't think Melbourne have been that good since he left.
No, they have not. No. After the break, Kevin, your favourite players at Essendon? Kevin, you coached, I suspect, about 400 players in your time at Essendon.
I have no idea.
I think that's a reasonable guess. I want to ask you about... You can't be close friends with all of them, understand that. Are there any of that group that you wish you had have done things differently? Like I'm talking about maybe perhaps Derek Kickett, when you didn't tell him that he was going to miss out in the grand final team. Maybe Ron Andrews when you left him out. Merv Nagel that you had a fight with. Any of those blokes that you sort of say, I wish I'd done things differently?
Oh, yeah. I think, first of all, in Derek's case, somebody told him before I did.
In Derek's case?
Yeah.
It was Danny Corcoran, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
well, didn't you send Danny Corcoran to tell him?
No.
You didn't?
No, not at all.
Didn't Danny Corcoran go to his house and say...
That's okay. That's up to him, but that's up to me to make that call.
You wanted to make the call?
And of course I will, but I will do it in my time, not in any other person's time. It's as simple as that.
But you still haven't spoken to Derek Kickett, have you?
I have.
You have you?
Yeah.
Have you squared it up with him?
No.
No.
No, because he says, I always say to Derek when I meet him, I'm ready to talk when you are. And he said, I haven't made up my mind yet. So I always say hello first, and always will.
You understand, I know you can, there's a finite number of players that can play in a premiership, I understand that. But can you understand the pain of this kid to play the entire year and then to miss out on what would have been the biggest moment of his life?
Well, go and ask Tony Bahagia.
Yeah. So he copped it better?
You know, go and ask David Flood, who was in better form, or Michael Simons. They were both in better form than Derek. But I can tell you now, Michael Simons and David Flood turned up to the grand final and Derek didn't. So maybe we got it right. And we won the game by 8 goals. And we weren't a great side.
Okay. Ron Andrews, how difficult was that? Given you love the way Ron Andrews played.
If I had my time again, he probably would, him and Bahagia are the two. What our club needed at the time was, it needed sorting out. And in the end, probably Ron, he probably took the bullet. Look, I'd only been there at Essendon 2 or 3 years, and the place was all about not being dedicated. They all thought they were dedicated. I just come out of, a club that had been to 5 premierships, and we knew what dedication was. So by the time that we got to the 1983 grand final, I think I cleared about 70% of the whole list and kept maybe 12 players. That's not easy. So you wonder why a lot of people mightn't like me in those early days. It's quite simple. In the end, when we did that, we won 2 premierships against a great club in Hawthorn. And Hawthorn were just marvellous. Absolutely. I mean, I always mark Hawthorn as the club. Yet
Hawthorn and you particularly had a strained relationship for quite a long time.
Yeah.
What was the origin of that? Just because you were the 2 best teams?
Well, they were the best.
Yeah.
We were trying to get them. So it'd be no different in America and Russia in the Olympics in those days. You just said, well, they're good and we're getting there.
Yeah.
And obviously China's come on board now.
What about when you blew the whistle on the Hawks with what you thought was this weird concoction that they used to sniff at the breaks at quarter time?
Yeah, look, that
was a mistake, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No.
Did you not initiate proceedings that led to the police getting involved in that?
I didn't. I just asked a person, right, and it was Ian Finlay.
Yeah.
What could that be?
Yeah. And so we're talking about something that the Hawthorn players would inhale.
All I did was ask a question.
Yeah.
In the end, it was headlines.
Yeah.
Because I think that...
it was very provocative, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And it was something that Alan Jeans didn't forgive you for.
No. And that's fair enough. But I want to make sure because I want to make sure about the games.
What did you think was in that stuff?
I have no idea. That's why I asked the question.
Did you think it was illegal?
I don't know. But should I have asked, or do we run away from what has happened in our game and sport in general? Well, look what's happened in the last 25 years.
What are you referring to? I mean, about the drugs?
Yeah, all through sport.
Could you have been more discreet?
No. Bang, put it on the table and don't hide.
They took offence at it, Hawthorn.
Oh, look, bad luck.
Did you ever make your peace with Alan Jeans?
No.
But do you regret that?
No, I liked him. I've always liked Alan Jeans, but we never went and sat down and spoke about it and put it on the table to each other. Yeah. So maybe in one way I might have been trying to protect something that was going on that nobody knows. Because sometimes the last person that knows is the damn coach. Would you believe that?
Probably not.
You don't?
No. I think you blokes are across everything. 1990, the brawl at quarter time in that game.
Yeah.
Amazing. There's 100,000 people there.
What part of the ground?
Did you whack Gubby Allen at quarter time?
Yeah.
You did?
I didn't know it was Gubby. I'll tell you that now.
You just saw a Collingwood official?
I know. It was a Collingwood jacket
Yeah,
Magpie.
yeah,
Wasn't a suit.
So what happened? So Gubby...
I've turned around and this guy's, whoever it is,
Yeah.
has just dropped my runner.
He dropped Peter Power?
Correct.
Okay.
And I've belted him right over the ear hole.
Yeah, and you didn't know who it was?
I had no idea.
Because Gubby's a friend of yours, isn't he?
Yeah, well, we go
you didn't have work together.
Same parish of Park Orchards.
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't believe it was Gubby when he got up.
Yeah.
And it was on, you know, and of course Big John Simons, we had to try and... that's our big trainer. He was fantastic. But he actually took the rap for everyone. He was unbelievable, John Simons.
Were you embarrassed by what happened that day? I'm not talking about the result, because it didn't go the way you would have liked, but just that it was a bad image for footy, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was there in '74 at the Windy Hill Brawl.
Yeah.
I mean,
which was the worst image.
But things happen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a part of history, and you were there and you saw it, and if you're involved in one and you're not, that's life.
Did you throw one in '74?
No.
No?
No.
What was your function in that?
Stay out of the road.
But it was wild. It was raw, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was, I had not seen that happen. And Graham just pulverised Bradley.
Jimmy Bradley, yeah. But that wasn't the only one. There were a lot of punches thrown in.
Oh, yeah, but that stood out because in the end, GR was... see, once again, Jimmy Bradley was in street clothes and you'd think the person jumped the fence.
Yep.
You'd have no idea.
Yep.
That's the problem. When people jump the fence, they could be in real trouble. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you. And that's...
Yeah, no, I agreed on that. They shouldn't be on the ground.
They should never be on the ground.
No, I understand.
Yeah. You know, and I've always kept my eyes open for some foolish person that might just do the wrong thing and they go down. They would.
I know
I wouldn't worry about it. I'll tell you that right now. Somebody coming near me, they go down. Bad luck about the image because you're there to protect yourself too.
You once nominated Graham Teasdale as the worst ever Brownlow medalist. In fact, I think I wrote that story, and Teasdale was mortally wounded by that.
Yeah.
Did you ever square it up with him?
Don't think so.
Did you ever feel the need to?
Look, did I say worst, or there were Brownlow medalists that I didn't think were great players?
No, you said worst.
You sure about that? Or you wrote that? That's a big difference.
No, there's not. It's the same thing.
See, there you go. It's the same thing. If I say and make a comment that I think that the Brownlow medal had some very ordinary winners, and that this guy, and this guy might have been very average Brownlow medals, I would say that.
Yeah, you would say that, but you didn't say that. You said...
No, and I could name another half a dozen.
Yeah, well, Graham Teasdale came to see me about that and wondered of the origin of it and why you would do it.
Yeah, my concerns are that blokes like Bartlett and Lee Matthews
didn't win them.
That's correct. So take out of the picture of what I'm saying any way you like. A lot of ruckmen won Brownlows with no one on them because they just took a mark behind the play, and tactically our coaches were not up to scratch in that period.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. The Mitchell White throat-slashing gesture at the MCG. Now, I think you were fined $7,500, were you not?
Something like that, yeah.
My memory was that you were really, really offended that the AFL imposed that sanction on you. Not so much because of the money, but because of the statement that you'd done something to bring the game into disrepute. Is that right?
Okay. Look, I'm not worried about it.
You were, though, were you not, at the time?
No, I wasn't over the top. I mean, I was guilty, so how can you actually defend on him? I mean, I thought it was probably foolish that, you know, he ever went to the tribunal, just fine me. What were we going to the tribunal for, to say you didn't do it? Oh, I can't believe that. So I went along there dressed, and, you know, you're sitting in the dock as if you murdered someone. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Pretty serious, the tribunal.
Yeah, unbelievable. I haven't been there for a long time.
The other one that we love, the jacket waving.
Yeah.
That was a game against West Coast. Bombers won. You were really excited. I might be reading too much into this, but was it a statement directed at Mick Malthouse, who was coaching the West Coast at the time? Not
overly. I mean, it was
partly.
About... no, not really even that. You know, people made it out to be because we're too you know, competitive Richmond back pocket players that want to, you know, get at the cut and thrust of a chance. But really, if you look at the game, it was the catalyst for the whole year to swing our way. And that West Coast had then come to Melbourne for the first final, and we stayed. And just remember, we were probably, I think we might have won 2.5 wins in the first 6 or 7 games. So we'd come from a long way back with a bunch of kids each week just nearly getting there, and then we got there, and then all of a sudden, and I think about 3 weeks out, maybe that game was played, and we were a chance because of Paul Salmon finally kicking a goal after 6 points. Mm-hmm. And then the siren went. Would you be happy, Mike?
Yeah, of course I'd be happy. Yeah. It was a very emotional reaction from you, though, wasn't it?
Well, can't help it. Mm. How do you play him waving your jacket? You don't.
Salmon's an interesting one. You let him go. He had a sad finish, I think.
Our fans were cruel.
They were.
Yeah,
they were. I sat at Waverley the day that they jeered him and mocked him, and he deserved better than that.
Well, I just said to Paul, where do you want to go?
Did you? So you initiated the move?
Well, he initiated it. Yeah. But in due respect to the club, my comment would be, well, where do you want to go? I don't think the club should be telling him what to do after his fine performance as a player. And he selected Hawthorn, and I said, well, can you just let us work out the negotiations and not you and your manager? Otherwise, the club will get stroppy. And in the end, it worked out. We got Wilman and Barnard.
Yeah. I want to ask you about 2 Essendon losses.
Sure. 240.
No, just 2 specific ones. The loss to Sydney in a preliminary final at the SCG. Now, those who were in that team said that you have never berated them before that or post that as you did that night.
Correct.
That's correct?
Yep.
Did you say things that you regret, or was this just sort of talking about the wasted opportunity?
Well, both. First of all, it was my worst performance.
Was it?
Yep, I think so. But...
What do you mean by that?
Well, in letting my players know about the displeasure of the performance we had.
Not your performance during the game, the way you reacted afterwards.
My reaction afterwards. I was very disappointed in that. But at least they get a message.
Were you personal?
On 1 or 2 occasions, yes, because I think their egos got ahead of themselves, and sometimes you have to do that. You can't blame that bloke if it's actually you.
Who did you label?
It doesn't matter the names. No names. But the deal in the end is that we worked hard to get back into another final series, and 2 years later and look, probably in the end it was probably the greatest win for Swans ever.
You should have won the 1999 flag, shouldn't you?
Well, we never got there.
No, I know you didn't. But weren't you complacent against the Blues in the preliminary final?
You think I'll be complacent against the Blues?
Not you. I'm talking
There's
about
no love between Carlton.
I'm talking about the Essendon Football Club.
No, I don't think so. I think that, well, if I said to you, look, how would you like to think that you ended up on top of the ladder with no Hurd, no Lucas and no... I don't think anybody respected the year that we actually did as a team and a club.
So it wasn't a lost opportunity?
No Lucas, right? There's people that have won... Jason Johnson won 2 best and fairest, Lucas 2, Hurd 5. There's 9.
Okay.
So I don't think anybody ever understood that this team have performed unbelievably well without 3 of their absolute stars.
99, you lost the preliminary final that most of us thought you couldn't lose, and you did. You then ordered the players to go to the grand final as a group. You then ordered them to leave the ground 15 minutes before the final siren, went to a restaurant, gave them a dossier, and said, we're now starting our 2000 campaign.
Absolutely. Look, mate, I've been in trouble at Essendon over hardline stuff. But I just think sometimes, I mean, you get be in the bottom about something. I mean, you don't want to waste opportunities like we had wasted a couple. I mean, we should have, I mean, even in 1990 we had to wait 3 weeks to play Collingwood. I mean, that's another premiership we could have...
That was just a quirk of fate. I mean, there was
that's
a draw.
Okay, but it happened. So how many times do you actually keep, leaving one behind? I mean, you're here to win premierships and, and that's the deal.
In the year 2000, you won 24 of 25 games.
I don't know.
Lost the ones of the Bulldogs. I suspect it doesn't worry you all that much. But would you have liked to have been the only coach to take a team? Didn't care? Unbeaten through a season?
That ricocheted off Fletcher's shin out of bounds and the Fulham Grand kicks a left foot snapshot goal is probably the reason we won the grand final, because all I did was pound the players. That's how simple it is to lose a grand final. If you think you won it, you're in trouble. So I'm telling you, boys, now, we just edited it out. It was subliminally edited into every edit right throughout the next sort of month. That's how simple. If you think the little things aren't going to get done, you'll lose.
So it worked in your favour?
Absolutely. You had to make it work in your favour.
Yep. Kevin, did you stay too long at Essendon?
Probably, yeah.
By how many years? I mean, if you were able to sort of
couple,
actually...
Yeah.
Only a couple?
Well, I think that in the end, I think our club tapered down their spending in the footy department. And, you know, we went down to the bottom 4 in the AFL. So when Mark Harvey left early, he said, mate, I'm going. We're not going to spend the money that we need.
Really?
Yeah. So he went. And he probably read the play, Kevin Morris and some of the boys in recruiting, you know. I mean, there were things that happened in contracts with players that were probably not right.
Like?
No comments. But I'm just letting you know.
What are you saying?
Players
that they lost players because they...
And no, what we did, obviously. We lost 4 premiership players. And then we signed our first ever player on a 5-year contract, Mark McCurry. So they're the sort of things that happen that, you know, a coach should have control over. But you don't. That's life.
Who did?
Doesn't matter.
Was it Peter Jackson?
No, the club. It's a board decision as well.
So if you say you may have stayed a couple of years
Peter
too long.
Jackson's the best CEO I ever had.
Okay.
I'll put that on the table right now. And
but he moved you on.
That's okay, but that's not a problem. That's only
so there's no lingering resentment about that?
I mean, I've been fortunate to have 27 years at one club. That's just beautiful.
Yeah.
But he was the best, and he told you the truth.
Okay.
And I can't say any more about that.
In retrospect, Kevin, you're happy with the answer that you think you may have only stayed 2 years too long? You don't?
About 2.
The broad view is that it could have been 8 or 10 too long.
Well, it could have been.
Could have been?
Well, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter because it's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I must say as an observer...
That you're saying that if you win the premiership, you should have... At 8, that means I'll leave in 99 and go back to Richmond. Wow.
Okay.
And you lose...
No, fair point.
Yeah, well, we got 2 grand finals after that. We still made the finals a few times.
Yep.
The deal in the end was that we got kicked out of the draft. And that hurts.
It does. We've seen that affect Carlton and yourselves.
Well, it's got nothing to do with the coaches.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Did you get lazy?
Oh, look, yeah. No, I'd probably say I was tired.
Tired,
And if that formed an opinion that people might have thought that you lost your edge, I could agree with that. Yeah. But when you know that the club's not really going to go hard again, that's when I'd say probably 2 years, maybe.
Did you get distracted? I'll change it. Did you get distracted? Did you focus?
If I get bored, if I'm bored, I'm in trouble.
And were you bored? In
the end, if you are not going to recruit, if you're not going to be ruthless, you're telling me. The club sends a message to coaches sometimes, whether you're there or not. They send it in different drums.
But you remember that you were supposedly spending so much time in the corporate sector and speaking...
Well, that's the best thing I've done.
The best thing you've done?
Absolutely.
But when
Getting to know Australia...
But when you're the coach, when your fundamental role is to coach, can you spend so much of your time...
I would normally spend with our corporate area to build the Essendon Footy Club, and I'm doing the same thing in Sydney now. If you don't have off the field correct, you're in real trouble. Go and ask some of the clubs in Melbourne.
But what about your own...
You understand that?
Yeah, I do. But
do you really?
Yeah, but weren't you pursuing things that suited you, like speaking at engagements that were just a personal...
Oh, yeah. Of course, that's my business, but that's my
Isn't your business to coach the footy?
No, because we have 1 day a week that you can do that.
Okay.
That's what the Coaches Association brought in.
Okay.
Because otherwise, what was happening to the coaches, they're burnt out by not having time off during the week. And the club professionally would just keep asking for you to do more and more and more and more. So in the end, that's when we started the Coaches Association with Neil Danaher, which everybody thought would be a failure, but it's been a success.
I remember writing an article that you took offence to, and the implication was that perhaps your drinking was a problem.
Yeah.
Did you ever compromise your job?
Look, I relax when I have a wine. I'm feeling good about that. I don't worry about that.
You never turned up to training having had too many?
No.
That's honest. You never turned up to training having...
Maybe once.
Maybe once?
Maybe once, yeah. But that was in 90s.
I know
I
know when you went to Greater Western Sydney, though, it was a new Kevonshire. You were rejuvenated. You and Geraldine were riding bikes. You were in the gym. It seemed like that the freshness of the challenge at GWS.
Well, you're not bored.
So you were bored at
in the latter stages,
yeah.
You ever been bored?
I'm not bored now. After the break, Kevin, the Watsons, Tim and Job. Your 4 premierships were spread over 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
Which is your favourite of those 4 premiership teams?
Teams?
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's quite amazing, really, because you got back-to-back, you got a bunch of kids, and you got a team that got beaten in one game. I can't split them. I mean, they were very enjoyable. We didn't have the right, really, to win 93. The West Coast were the best team in it, and we probably snuck one in between their 2 premierships. But look, when we got Watson back out of retirement, you've got to thank Roger Hampson for that and David Shaw, because I don't think I could have done it. I mean, Tim had retired, and we made an error. We delisted him, and we never had the capacity as a club to give him a 6-month break, send him and Susie overseas, and that sort of give him a break. He started footy at 15 and a half, and it wasn't just a professional era at that period. So getting him back to assist a bunch of kids in 93, and then he kicked the winning goal. It's a great clip. Just that when Watson kicks the ball, chases it. This is against Adelaide at the MCG in a preliminary final where we're 7 down, and he recovers the ball,
That's
kicks
7
the goal.
goals down. Yeah.
He recovers the ball, he kicks the goal, it gets us in the ground, Hurdy. And that's probably where I just think Hurd and Watson just sort of melt together, because Hurd played his a terrifically solid game. He's only played on probably his 24th game, and there's this guy, 32 or 3 coming back out of retirement and gets him into the grand final.
How's your relationship with Tim? I don't know why this happened, but there was always this sort of innuendo that Sheedy and Watson aren't as close as you would expect of 2 people given their common history.
Look, I don't and never have got all that close to the players. I was coach of the club. And the players, in the early days we lost a lot of players at times when, the Scases and that come, and you think to yourself, dear whiz, you're going to go through them. We lost Nagel to, sitting with Edelson, and so it's very hard to get, all these players built up, get them into, premiership type teams, and then somebody walks along, very wealthy people, and take them off your club. So I just probably took a backward step, not only with Tim, but most of them.
Do you think your relationship with Tim was harmed a little bit by what was seen to be your harsh treatment of young Job?
Well, I mean, I think from that point of view, I was hard on Job, yeah.
I mean, you might well take the view. Yeah. You might well take the view that Job's the player he is now because of the way you treated him early. But there was a perception.
Look, when you come to an AFL club, and any of the under-18 boys out there in the TAC now, just come prepared. And Job probably wasn't prepared at that time, and it might have taken him a few years. So I didn't play him in Hurdy in my last game.
That was deliberate, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was to send a message. If you want to be really, really good, you get your act together, and the rest is history. He's been a damn fantastic player for them.
Did you tell him that? Was that the?
I've always told the players, absolutely.
But did you say to Job, you need to become more committed to this game, work harder?
Yeah, had to.
Yeah,
and that's okay. He's done very, very well. He's an actually beautiful young man. There's no doubt about that. Absolute quality family. But he's still got to be hard. And if I cop the blame for that, well, I can cop that. I don't have any worries with that at all.
Kevin, the great players at Essendon, there's lots of them. You mentioned Madden, who was probably, I would have thought, the most accomplished ruckman that I saw over a long period.
No doubt about that.
Watson, we talked about Danaher, so many of them. You're prepared to rate them for us? Who's your favourite all-time Bomber player?
Favourite?
Yeah, don't go back to John Coleman's era either.
No. My favourite was Bluey Shelton, but I'll leave that.
Yeah, but you didn't coach Bluey Shelton.
No, I know that, but I loved him. But probably, I think Kevin Walsh and Dean Wallace were 2 of my favourites.
You know what, and no one would have picked... I mean, I know you invested so much time and emotional energy into Kevin Walsh.
You got to find a person who can run with Burton and not worry about getting smashed. I mean, he was just like a titan. Dermot was a very hard person to beat. And Kevin Walsh would be a person that was... I think he had the pace and the speed to run and match him, and had the... I mean, Kevin Walsh was taller than Simon Madden and had the speed.
Hurdy's a great player, isn't he? I mean, he must sit at the very top of your list of great
5
players.
5 best and fairest.
5 best and fairest, yeah.
Bartlett, 5 best and fairest.
Yeah.
All great.
And premierships, both of them got premierships, yeah. Hurdy, the coach, you've coached against him.
I'll be honest, I don't know about James as a coach because I've never been with him. And that's the difficult
Did you think he'd coach?
No. I mean, I hope he may have, because it would have been probably a reason to stay at Essendon and blood him into the coaching ranks. We discussed that, but they didn't want to do that at the time, so I said, well, you move on.
The Melbourne coaching job, you were a contender when Melbourne went for Dean Bailey, who was an assistant coach at Port Adelaide and a former Essendon player under you. Did you feel slighted by that?
Oh, look, I mean, Melbourne and myself... it's quite amazing, really, because probably 15, 20 minutes in the interview, you nearly know you're in the wrong place.
Really?
Yeah. And look, let's be honest, I hadn't had an interview for 27 years, and by then I'd only had one anyway, basically, and that was with Essendon with Colin Stubbs. So it wasn't if it was a common practice for me.
Were you unprepared then, are you saying?
No, I was pretty prepared for the interview, but...
So was it the tone of the questions that threw you, was it?
Yeah, no, just probably... I don't know what they're really looking for. Yeah. I thought Melbourne needed a head coach that's going to take them to another dimension, but I may be wrong.
But did you feel just a tad humiliated?
No.
No?
No, I didn't mind all that stuff. I mean, to me, I go to investigate them.
But you wanted the job, though, didn't you?
Well, if you actually like them, you might. But if you don't go, you don't know.
Okay.
So actually... I went to investigate them.
Okay.
They'd only still be thinking that they investigated me as a coach. So they don't think that way, people.
So when you walked out of that interview...
You'd be saying...
Did you want the job?
I would have thought no.
No. Okay. How close did you get, Kevin, to going to what most people thought was home to Punt Road? Did it ever actually... Was it ever a reality?
Well, there's only one president there that I liked that you might have gone.
Leon Daphne?
Yeah, he's the best.
Okay.
I like Leon. I think Leon was a soul of Richmond and his wife and family, and I thought to myself, well...
His wife works for Essendon.
Yeah, that's okay.
Did he nearly get you over the line?
Yeah, look, I could work for that guy.
Yeah, but did he nearly get you back to Richmond at any specific point?
Yeah.
When?
In the late 90s.
And what made you balk at that?
Well, I thought it was about a year or two off a premiership.
You thought you were? And you were. Kevin, you've been described in various ways. Quirky, innovative, from left field, eccentric, crazy.
Yeah.
Which one is the most accurate?
I don't think I'm much of any of those. I mean, there's a little bit there, here and now, but I'm pretty
You
serious.
are innovative. I mean, to be all being serious here.
Icon games have been pretty good, I think. Anzac Day and Dreamtime.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
We're building a great game coming up with building the nation, thanking working people of the country. We've got the Prime Minister's Cup next year in Canberra. That'll be the 100th year of Canberra. So I believe the AFL really should invite every living Prime Minister to that game when we have it to celebrate the 100 years of Canberra.
Mark Williams is now your principal assistant at GWS. Can you define for us the split in responsibilities between Kay Sheedy and M. Williams? Who does what?
Well, I mean, as a head coach, my job is to make sure all our coaching staff are working well into a given plan with the young kids we've got. Mark is really, in many ways, an absolute super drill sergeant. His best attributes I try to use, and he's computer illiterate, work with his editing skills with all our coaches, along with James McDonald, Luke Power, obviously Dean Brogan. They're fantastic. I'm on the track just about 90% of the training days.
And are you in charge of training?
Not always.
No.
I'm in charge of training because I actually say yes, no or otherwise. But as an observer, I think what people don't realise what's happening to our game is that most of the head coaches, after the planning's done in America, is that your coaches actually run the drills, and that's the way it should be. If you're going to employ people, employ them to do their job and let them do their job. Don't sit on them and just say no, or I'm doing it my way, or the highway. Yeah. Now, I think you're asking for trouble if you do that, I think.
But Choco is a career coach and he's a premiership coach and he wants to be a senior coach again.
But then I'll do all in my power to make sure that if a job comes up, that he gets a job.
But it won't be the GWS job in 2013.
I do not have a say in that.
But you want to be the coach next year?
Oh, well, I mean, the club offered me an opportunity, I would.
Yeah, and you will be?
And well, if that is negotiated, I mean, that's in negotiations now.
So if you stay on as senior coach next year, which my understanding is you will, will Choco stay with you?
I would think so. It's up to him. He's got the contract. I don't have a contract. He's got a contract.
Okay.
Yeah, his contract is to be the head assistant coach of this club for another 12 months.
Okay. A lot of the things that are in the game now and that are entrenched in the game and are positives have come out of your mind. I mean, I think the game owes you a debt for the rookie list.
Yeah.
I think that's a great innovation. One that I'm not sure about is the introduction of the 50-metre penalty, which was brought in because of a tactic of yours.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you had this great Essendon side. You wanted to hold up play, so you told your blokes to concede the 15-metre penalty at the time, and then you could sort of match up, get your blokes back, and it was a tactic of yours. Do you regret that,
No.
given that it's given us the 50-metre penalty, which so many people are so frustrated about?
Well, you don't have to have the 50-metre penalty.
You don't?
No.
Well, what do you do if a coach comes?
Have a 25-metre penalty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have them both. If it's bad, give them 50.
Right.
If it's not as bad, give them 25. But we don't have that rule.
No.
Well, that's a lack of thought, maybe, that people don't want to make that decision.
I think perhaps your greatest legacy to football, I mean, Anzac Day's in there, the Dreamtime game, but I think it's your faith in Australia's Indigenous players and the way you've encouraged them and cultivated them and given them confidence. What's the origin of all that?
Oh, look, I've been moving around Australia since 1970, and, I didn't realise there was another part of Australia that out there. I mean, brought up in Chapel Street, South Yarra, and Prahran, and Armidale, and Richmond. They were my sort of early 25 years of my life, and not many people travel in the early days. I just couldn't believe that, we didn't see Indigenous people the way we should have.
But what swung you? What changed your thinking about? Because we all grew up the same way. We knew there were Aboriginal people, but we didn't have a lot to do with them. You seem to actually make a conscious decision to go and find out.
Look, probably growing up a Catholic and a Christian maybe made me think a bit about it. I think what's good to go into Catholic schools and listening to about, a guy called Christ, and you don't do anything about it. And, to me, you just go and do some good things in your life. Not just about footy. I try to connect footy with Australia and have a look at, the young kids, can you understand that the Anzacs, because they're very young and they had no idea about Anzac Day, and Dreamtime's about that too. Can you understand that we have a nation of people here that were here first? They're 300,000, 30,000 years in existence, and there's only 500,000 left. And can we actually get it right after 200 years of not having it right? So if you're going to stand for anything, put it on the table.
You've described your wife Geraldine as probably the perfect football coach's wife.
Did I?
Yeah.
He's going to go to where? She's been very good.
What toll does such a total commitment to football take on a man and his relationship with his family?
No, enormous.
You got 4 kids?
My kids know I love them. I spend a lot of time with them as much as I can.
Do you think that the Sheedy name, and it is a famous name in this country, do you think it weighed heavily on your kids?
Oh, I think it's pretty. It's solid. It's a solid, awkward position to be in, to be honest. I don't know.
Is it true that you used to go and watch Sam play his junior footy and watch from behind a tree so you wouldn't be noticed?
Sometimes I would, but you cop the barrage of criticism and terrible things when they saw me there. And,
but you love the interaction with the
yeah,
public.
but they were awful.
Were they?
Oh, yeah.
At junior footy?
Oh, yeah. I didn't like it at all.
Really?
Anyway, so I thought, well, what if I come there and he's going to cop that every week, and you don't need that.
Word association. Wow. Seagulls?
King hits behind play.
Martians?
Many people don't have earthy feelings towards
Essendon.
common sense.
Okay. Could we paraphrase that and say umpires?
No, not necessarily. It could be a person that they booked you in parking and he's still there booking you when you go back. He's a Martian, this guy. You know?
Right.
Might be your wife when you get home at 2 o'clock in the morning. She's a Mrs. Martian. Martians are funny people because they just don't understand the predicament that you're trying.
So they can be whatever you want them to be.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just keep it flexible.
Okay. Vlad the Impaler.
Vladimir Dimitrov
Correct.
is Andrew Dimitrov. And he laughed. I mean, look, I think if you actually move it with a bit of humour, you can get a few things done. I mean, if you're being facetious and nasty, well, I don't know what you can do. But, you know, I mean, marshmallow thing was basically about North Melbourne calling us soft. Mm-hmm. So I just threw it onto two blokes that were... they had no idea that Dennis and a couple of guys were on the training track with Tim Watson at the race, and I got a bloke at North Melbourne, dressed in North Melbourne supporters gear, listening to the whole conversation. So there were a lot of things we did. And, look, it's been a lot of fun. But they're the things we did, you know.
Any regrets, Kevin, about the journey?
No.
None at all?
None at all.
Not one moment or day in your football life?
I mean, I really stretched everything you could in regard to Tigers and footy and the Mighty Bombers. I love both the clubs. I'm a life member of both the clubs. I probably look more at the game now, more than where we're going with the next 25 years, and hopefully play a game for 4 points in China, that sort of thing. I think we've got to move the game in the next dimension, and I think that could be successful if we have the courage to do that.
Paul McCartney once asked the question, will you still need me, will you still feed me when I'm 64? Are you 64 now? We still need you and we're still feeding you. It's been a fantastic journey that you've had. You should be proud of it, and it's not finished yet. Kevin, good luck for whatever the future holds.
Right.